yesterday. Yes, that's what we want. My Zoom updated yesterday just before I did class. And I actually kind of like the layout because I can find things a little bit easier, like the recording part is now across the top. I don't know, mine might be different than yours since I'm on the presenter and it's a business account, but I think it's easier. Yeah, that might be better. And then I'll turn the little mini air conditioning on. All right. So we put up some curtains to kind of muffle the sound from the outside, from the store. And pretty much the only thing it muffles is any airflow of any sort coming into the back. But not so much the sound, but better, I guess. Not perfect, but better. So good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm going to swing over to the table.
Good morning.
And we're going to go over our supply list. I'm multitasking. I'm admitting people and talking at the same time. So we are doing the 6x10 today. And we're going to have kind of a lot of chatty time because of the stitch count. So in the 5x7 hoop, the stitch count was like 41,991 stitches. I guess better just say 42,000. In the 6x10, it's 49,982. So with freestanding lace, it's kind of hard to get away from that. So we'll be spending a lot of stitching time. I'm just going to keep stitching till it's done. If you have to leave or if you want to just call it a day before the end, don't worry about it. The recording's on. I just made sure of that. So there we go. Here is your kit. If you chose to get a kit from us, your kit's going to have, let's see, let's open the magic kit because mine didn't have a kit. I think, if I remember correctly, you are going to have one layer of wash away stabilizer that has a sticky back on it and one layer of regular stabilizer. That is correct. I think we're using both. And someone on the recording asked, and I don't know if you're in class, so I can't answer for that. Asked if you could just use 2 sheets of wash away stabilizer. You know, I'm okay. And if you want to try whatever you want to try, you know, it's your project. I did not do that. I just do, when I do the Kimberbell stuff, you all know I like to go off script a lot and that, you know, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants most of the time, but it seems to work out okay for me. But on the Kimberbell projects, when we do digital dealer or we do the events, I tend to do the video and do the project exactly per their directions. And then I might add in there, well, if, you know, you could do it this way too, or you could do it that way too. I have done freestanding lace without having sticky back stabilizer before. What I tend to do though, because just wash away stabilizer by itself tends to be just a little bit on the flimsy side, especially if you hoop it. So like this isn't even giving us enough to be in the hoop. We're supposed to do the sticky and then stick this to the sticky. But if I wanted to, a lot of times I would double up on the wash away stabilizer, but have it be big enough to hoop. Or frankly, I love Badge Master for freestanding lace. You know, I know that you're like Badge Master, that's so thick. It is, but things tend to not like squeeze in as you're stitching them. With freestanding lace, the stitch is so intense that sometimes no matter how good you plan or how well you plan or how tight you think you have it hooped, it tends to just pull it in and it kind of distorts the shape of your lace. So, you know, up to you. That's why I think that they did the sticky back, you know, the adhesive back, and then the second layer stuck to the adhesive back, because at least you're going to have, when you hoop the adhesive back, at least you're going to have parts of this adhesive back in your hoop. And it's easier to get a good tight hoop on something like that than it is on just 2 pieces of wash away stabilizer. So that's my 2 cents on it. Anyway, you have stabilizer, you have fabric. This is going to be your lining. and you have some heat transfer glitter. It's really kind of cool the way this all comes together, because you have lining outside, lining inside, and then your freestanding lace is still freestanding. There's no lining behind it. Now, I obviously didn't wash this before I stitched it. I tend to not do that, but if you want to, soak it before, soak it and then, press it and turn it, you could do that as well. All right, so I did wind some bobbins. On the white part or the linen part, I found that the color was so close to just using a white pre-wound bobbin that I went ahead and did a white pre-wound bobbin. And then I also made note in my notes that if you decide to use a bobbin that's the linen color, that's, the glide that's called for, you need to wind at least 3 of them. I know I went through at least 3 bobbins, during the course. It was right here, size 6x10 size, need 3 linen bobbins. So that's your job. I'm just going to use a white bobbin today. These are my other bobbins. I did some winding. These are the ones that were just left over from when I did the sample project. And if you never know what to do with those little things that come with the luminaire, you don't have to stick them to your, to the lid of your tool, your accessory box. You can just use them to hold thread and kind of keep them lassoed bobbins. So, all right. And then we have our thread colors. So these are the glide colors that I used. Let's starting with the reds. I used Ruby and Wildflower. In the pinks, I used Pink and Cotton Candy. I just love the fun names sometimes they give this thread. And then I used, for the green, Christmas, Pine, and then Linen. So bobbins. And then the other things that I found helpful is when I went to turn it, I found having a pair of hemostats and also having a point and press made it a little bit easier for me to actually turn the project when it was done. And then I like pinking shears. I know some of you, if you're just kind of getting started within the last 10 years with embroidery and you didn't come from a sewing background, you're like, what the heck are pinking shears? When we have curves, like around the heel and around the toe of the stocking, and especially an inside curve like this one, if you don't make notches in within your seam allowance, when you go to turn, you don't get a smooth turn. I just find like I get bored with going this and this and this and this and this and this with the scissors, and I find that pinking shears just does it all at once. So and Jeannie found these wonderful Martelli ones, and they are really, really sharp. So I'm going to be using those today. If not, I'll also show you an alternate way with just having a sharp pair of scissors to make clips. If you are doing the scissor way to do your clips, please, please, please get the scissors that have the most amount of sharpness at the point. If you have the pair of scissors that cuts really good in here, but when you close them all together, it bends the fabric over, those aren't going to work for making notches. You need something that's really sharp at the tip. All right.
Michelle?
That's it. Yes.
Michelle, it's Linda. I'm sorry. All I see is participants and you're in a little box. How do I get you?
Okay. Up in the top of it says view.
View.
On the top, click on view and then click on speaker.
At the top, view, speaker. There's nothing at the top. It just says leave meeting. It's been recorded.
Okay, so where's recording? Is it on the top near the right of the screen?
It says to the left, it says this meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so on the top, I want you to look at the top right. What do you see in the top? What are you on? For one thing, what are you on?
Oh, there's view. I'm sorry.
That's
okay.
All right.
Oh, just hit speaker then, huh?
Yeah, you just put speaker and then you should have a big picture of the
I have you. Sorry, honey.
Okay. No worries. No worries.
I can't find you.
No, it's hard. I want to see all your pretty faces, so I have it on view. All
Thank
right, let
you.
me look at the chat box really quick. Oh, your machine's in for service. Okay, Katarina, that's kind of problematic for this today. All right, so we're going to get started. And I'm pretty sure that I remember correctly that we're actually just going to hoop stabilizer. So we're going to start. Oh, we have fusible backing to the wrong side of the back pieces. Let's see, was that in there? Yeah, it is. Look at that. Let me get the iron and we'll do that first. Actually, the iron's here. Let me plug it in and then go ahead and hoop. And you're going to be hooping your sticky back wash away stabilizer first. If you're unfamiliar with sticky back stabilizer, the paper side goes up to the top of your hoop. Or the front of your hoop, however you call it. Where are the pressing pads?
Michelle, it's okay that I
Yeah,
use
just a minute, Michelle. I'm on the back side of the table right now. I can barely hear you, so give me a minute. Yes, go ahead.
Is it okay if I use a snap hoop or do I need to use a regular hoop?
Is it okay if you use what? I'm sorry.
A snap hoop?
Yeah, you can use whatever you want. I tend to not use snap hoops with freestanding lace. It's so much stitching, it pulls to the inside, but you can give it a try. I love my snap hoops probably as much as any of you guys do, but sometimes with freestanding lace, depending on the density of that freestanding lace, it can pull into the center.
Michelle, I used my 8x8 snap hoop and it worked fine.
Okay, perfect. There you go. So when you say snap hoop, I always think of the dime hoops. So if your snap hoops are actually the snap ones that come with the brother, that's a different snap. That's a different amount of hold. So again,
I was using the dime hoop.
okay. All right, I think I got it all together here. So we have someone that works here that I love dearly that's cleans like a whirlwind. The only problem is we can't find anything for like 2 weeks after she's done it. So this morning we were all running around trying to find where everything went. I'm sure it has a logical place, but it probably wasn't logical to me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm waiting for the iron to heat up, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get my stabilizer hooped. If you've never noticed this, you have a notch at the top of your hoops. It matches the notch in the top of your frame here. So just in case, just a little tidbit if you haven't noticed that. And the one thing that I always struggle with paperback is it just is incorrigible. It doesn't want to squeeze in. See if I get the hoop all the way on the mat, maybe I can get this. It always gives me bounce back. All right, there we go. All right, and I like to score with a seam ripper if I can find one. I guess a stiletto probably would work, but it probably not. No, I guess I'll do it with a pen. I'm afraid to do it with a stiletto. It's going to be too sharp. Normally, I use the back side of a seam ripper and just do a big X. And I can't get over to the other side of the table. And that's what I'm going to do. You just got to be careful that you just press lightly and you don't cut the stabilizer behind there, just the paper. And then peel everything away. Normally it's much neater if I use this, if I use my seam ripper. So we have a lot of downtime today while we're just waiting for it to stitch. So as soon as we get it stitched in something that has a lot of stitches, I want to hear about which ones of you are going to be doing the needle punch and why. Not yet. Wait till we start stitching because I want to be able to be engaging in the conversation. So let's get us started. So when they said needle punch, I just thought, oh, that kind of like the needle punch of the 70s with the punch rugs and that kind of stuff. So, all right. So this is hooped up. First piece of stabilizer, peel all of the stabilizer, all of the paper away, and then lay the second piece of stabilizer on top and give it a good smush. All right, so I'm gonna iron the fusible to the wrong side of the, let's cut it. And what size is it supposed to be? Or maybe we have enough for the whole thing. My kit was already cut when I got home. All right, let's see. Okay, look at fabric pieces. Six by 8 and 6.5 by 8.5. Let's see, I'm just going to cut this in half and press this in the middle. Oh, you know what? Now I remember, I think you have almost enough fabric to do a second stocking, I think is what I discovered with this. If I cut them their size that is required, which is 6.5 by 8.5. Because I think this is 1/4 of a yard piece. Yeah, it's 9. If I do 6.5, well, not quite. You don't have enough to do quite 2, but I'm gonna just cut them for the panels. I think I'll probably cut the right size. Yep. All right, so I'm just gonna set these on here. I'm gonna add a little best press. I always like to have nice, sleek, nice, crisply pressed fabric. Also, for those of you that have been following along with my journey with the heat press, this part, oh, so much easier with the heat press. You put the whole thing in, you put the heat press down for the amount of seconds, and you pull it out and it's all done. So with stabilizer like this, the SF101, it's really not an ironing thing. It's really a press and hold for about 8 to 10 seconds. But if you do have a heat press or even a Cricut press, before I had my heat press, I used my big Cricut press to put stabilizer like this on. Because you could just do a lot at one time.
How many seconds do you use the heat press on this?
I set it for 320 degrees for 8 to 10 seconds.
Okay, thanks.
Most items will tell you when you have stabilizer or when you have interfacing or stabilizer, most of them tell you, they give you a chart indication of on your iron where to put the heat. And it's usually between cotton and linen. And I've never found an exact chart that told me what is the temperature of between cotton and linen. So I just go by, I just winged it. I figured, usually 400 is hot, 300 is medium. So I just did, like 340, 350 for 8 to 10 seconds. But it's nice because it's even pressure. I think a lot of times what happens is we forget we have holes in here. And when we press down on something, this here isn't getting as much pressure as the outside. iron's going to leak this morning, so we're going to wait for that to dry. We'll use the other piece first. It's just really nice. So if you're doing like, you know, a bigger project of appliques and you have a lot of fabric that you need to put SF-101 on the back of, it's just really much easier to just put the whole piece on a heat press and do the whole thing at once. All right. So it's time to clean the iron. It spit on it. All right. And then it also says to peel your carrier sheet. So for those of you that are doing both heat transfer vinyl with the ScanNCut and stuff, this is the same. It's heat transfer vinyl. So what they're having you do is pull your carrier sheet off, obviously before you stitch. But let's see if I can get back now. Where's my admit all? There we go. But hang on to this carrier sheet, because after you stitch this piece, you're going to have to press it. So you can use the carrier sheet on top of it. So don't toss it. Leave it, you know, keep it. But it's the same. It's heat transfer vinyl. It's like, it's Caesar heat transfer vinyl is what it is. All right. Okay. Did I get all the specifics? I did. All right. So we're going to go over to the machine and we're going to load our embroidery file. Again, if it's a color, I'm using pre-wound. I wound some of my own bobbins. If it's the linen, I'm just going to use white in my bobbin. About that. Okay, here we are. Let's see. I'm on the Luminaire today. Last night, before I left, I put a brand new 80 Microtex chrome needle in. And I do like a Microtex chrome when I'm doing stuff like this. I really do. But a 7511 anti-glue works as well. And having an alcohol prep pad nearby, if your needle starts to get gummy and you're noticing it has like a film on it, will swipe all of that off your needle and get you going right away again. Let's see. Nope. We want that one. So it's the second one. You should say 7.65 by 5.68. Let's see what we're doing first. Okay, so our first couple of steps are change the bobbin thread to match the top thread and stitch the stocking lace mesh directly onto the stabilizer. What is the stocking lace mesh? I don't remember this piece. It's not in the kit. Are they calling the second layer of wash away? Oh no, stitch the lace right onto the, oh, I need more coffee, you guys. All right, so I have a white bobbin thread and this obviously is linen, so I'm gonna do that first. Morning classes sometimes. I know it's like not really morning, it's 10:30, but I'm a night owl.
Michelle,
So
are you lowering the speed on your machine when you're doing lace?
I do not. I mean, if I've got metallic, I might, but I generally don't. And if you struggle, if something on your machine struggles with it, you can certainly do that. But unless there's a problem, I just go pedal to the metal. All right. White bobbin threads in there. I know a lot of people that do are like sometimes uncomfortable running their machine at top speed, and that's totally okay. I mean, it really totally is, but I always looked at it as they would not have given us top speed if they didn't intend for us to use it.
Michelle, I
Yes.
just checked the speed on my machine
Uh-huh.
and it has me locked in at 800.
Really? Let's look. Well, mine doesn't.
Huh.
So what machine are you on?
I'm on my Luminaire.
Okay. Well, when go to page 8, open your machine settings.
That's where I'm at.
What is okay, if you see this here, touch it.
Yes.
And can you touch anything else?
It won't let me go above 800.
Wow.
It has the 900 and the 1050 grayed out.
Oh, that's unusual. I have no idea. Maybe more will be revealed. So I'm trying to think.
What hoop do you have in?
It shouldn't be hoop specific.
I have the magnetic.
Oh, that's why. Yep, it is.
That's
hoop
what I
specific.
meant.
Yeah. On the magnetic hoops, it does automatically slow the machine down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have both machines set up, so the other one will let me go faster.
Yeah, well, it's freestanding lace. It's going to take a while. So we're all going to be here for a bit. Actually, if I do embroidery at top speed, it's going to take me 66 minutes to sew this out. And that doesn't include the times I have to stop and do things. So, yeah, here we go. I have 18 minutes on this first stitch. I have linen in my top thread. I have just regular pre-wound bobbin in the bobbin. And here we go. So tell me about, let's see, let me get everybody going here. And then let's talk about how you're, well, first of all, I guess you would be excited about, the needle punch if you like handwork, right? That would be my assumption, that you like to do things by hand. In my world, hand is a 4-letter word. I kind of like to do everything by machine. So I'm not sure that's good. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet because I don't want to say I'm not going to do it, because every time I say never, you know, it's like every time I say I'm not going to do that, and it's like, oh my God, that's so cute, I have to do it. So I don't know.
I did it in the 70s, Michelle, and
I did too.
you know, and yeah, I'm done with that. Unless you can figure out a way to do it within the quilting, you know,
Yeah.
or embroidery design.
Yeah.
That's the only way I think I'd do it.
It's true. It's like, you know, so here's Michelle Burrett brought some stuff in, and I have to tell you the things. Well, if you watch her quilting, if you watch Gail and Michelle do their little quilt talk thing, you know, that last time Michelle Burrett was here, please feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. So in case you have questions about, but we're just going to have a lot of dead air stitching time. But Michelle Burrett brought a lot of this stuff in, and it was really beautiful. But oh my gosh, it's so tedious. And yes, I did needle punch in the 70s, but it's definitely a different type of a needle and a different type of a punch. That's different. And then I also did hooked rugs in the 70s. So I'm like, oh my God, if they're bringing needle punch back, are we going to be hooking? Are we going to be the happy hookers again? I don't know. Are we? But I'm not convinced. Michelle Burrett's work was absolutely exquisite. It was really beautiful. But, you know, I'm an instant gratification girl. I really have, and I've become worse, I think, since technology. I remember my mother-in-law, my first mother-in-law was amazing with granny squares. How many of you remember granny squares? Yeah, I see Lila nodding. Yeah, granny squares. She was amazing with granny squares. So she tried to teach me to crochet, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I don't think it's for me. And then, you know, the whole knit crochet, the whole thing, it just wasn't for me. It was just too, first of all, I had to think. And
Michelle, it's Linda, and I was rug hooking quite a while and went with a couple ladies to go to Las Vegas to a convention. And we got stopped by the police, and the policeman says, where are you guys going so fast? And she goes, we're going to a hookers convention.
yeah, well, in Las Vegas,
was
yeah,
people,
they probably didn't even
okay.
bat their eyelashes to that one. But
That was
yeah.
funny, innocently said.
So yeah, I just kind of instant gratification. And then now that technology has kind of taken over, I'm like, okay, what can I do in software so I don't have to do this by hand? But I think what happens here's what I see so far with what Michelle brought in is one of the things that, and I have worked hard on this and I have not been successful yet, but that doesn't mean I'm done yet. Doesn't mean I'm thrown in the towel. I just have not been successful yet in creating chenille in embroidery software so that we get the look of a chenille letter. And part of it of the chenille is the actual yarn that they use to make like a varsity letter is the best I can explain it. And it's really difficult to recreate. And I've tried doing it a couple of different ways and I have not been entirely successful. So I feel like maybe needle punching might go into that category. It's the width or the thickness of the thread that you use to get that look. And you can't really run that on a machine. So hopefully maybe some way along the line, I think, you know, maybe they could, I don't know. We'll see what comes out as machines, you know, as machines change. I mean, there's a lot of things I never thought I'd be able to do by machine that I can do now. Oh, let me check on the chat here. I don't want to miss anything because, you know, this girl hates FOMO. Oh, not at the machine watching TV. Okay, that makes sense, Susie. Oh, football TV craft. Yes. So cross stitch. I did used to do cross stitch, counted cross stitch. And my eyes aren't really good enough for it anymore. But when my daughter was little, I built her a dollhouse. Now, this is someone that's OCD. So if it's going to be a dollhouse, it's going to have electricity. It's going to have carpeting. It's going to have, I mean, it was like a recreation of a house. I hid it in the garage for like 5 months while I was building it. And one of the things I learned to do was, you know, I bought patterns to do needle punch rugs or crowded cross stitch in 64 count 8 o'clock. I mean, the stitches were like tiny. You used one strand of embroidery floss of that, you know, the stitching floss, and they were pretty. And then when I got the whole house furnished, it had, you know, working lights. It was on a platform. It had, I mean, this house had a yard in it. It had AstroTurf. It had fencing. It had snow on the, you know, because it was Christmas themed. It had snow on the lawn, you know, bushes, animals, whatever. My husband looked at me and said, so what are we going to do with that? He's like, I don't think it's going to come in through the door. So we ended up having to we had an old house that had those long, skinny windows, you know, on the top. We ended up having to take one of the windows out so that we could actually slide it in through the window because we couldn't, you know, the dining room window came out so that we could get the dollhouse in. I mean, I just thought about the details. I never thought about the size. Yes, there's a lot of patterns in the library books, not as easy as Kimberbell will be, I'm sure. Yeah, I think I actually do use my library a lot. So I don't know. I do audiobooks most of the time if I'm going to read, but if I'm doing any kind of a craft, I usually like, you know, it's hard to, you know, mark a page in an audiobook. I mean, you can, I guess, but yeah, I'm with you. I have to go to the library. Plus, I found out that if I'm at the library, people seem to think that that I'm really busy at the library, so I don't really get bothered at the library.
Well, Michelle, I do plan on trying the needle punch, and I'm
Do ya?
trying, but yeah, I want to try one, a small one.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thinking of either doing the butterfly, I think it is, or the bee.
Okay. Well, I have to hear about it when you get it done. So, and I know what, so coming from a professional standpoint, the one thing I have always loved about Kimberbell is that the directions are so well thought out. They're so planned. They're so they are really geared to someone that is, fairly new to embroidery. I mean, we got a ton of new embroidery owners when we got Kimberbell. And for the first year or two, maybe 3 that Kimberbell was in business, they kind of had a partnership with brothers. So every show I worked, with the dealers always had the Kimberbell product. And what we loved about it is it made people that were new to machine embroidery, it made them successful. And that is like the best compliment you can give anybody that does projects or does digitizing or something like that. The projects were really cute, but they were always very well thought out with step-by-step directions. So it made people that had no experience in crafting, no experience in sewing, might be their very first embroidery machine. It made it easy for them to be successful. And truly, that's a huge compliment to anybody that does that kind of stuff.
Their stuff always has kind of a whimsical feel to it.
It does. It does. It's very whimsical. It's just, yeah, it's just fun. The fabrics are fun. And I like the details. Like I'm sitting here in the back, and I think this was Love Notes from like 3 years ago. And I'm looking at some of these hearts that are freestanding there down the center, and the little knobs, the things on the mailboxes that go up and down, and the flowers. It's very the embellishment takes it to a new level.
I love the typewriters on that.
Yeah,
cabinet
aren't they
too.
fun?
Mhm.
With the little heart keys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the material and the pattern. Do you think I've done it yet? No.
Oh, I have so
Neither
many.
have I.
I have so many of them. But
See,
mine
Michelle?
mine are all Halloween.
Oh,
I've got like 4 years worth of Halloween quilts and 1 Christmas quilt.
yeah, that's about right. I have all my Halloween stuff done. Christmas is under my table under there.
I feel like if I could just start, if I started it, I probably would get it done,
Mm-hmm.
But something always comes up. Some other shiny object always gets my attention.
Yeah, I'm banned from buying material right now, so
Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, my cabinets behind me are full, so I can't say anything.
Well,
When
what
I
if you
started,
what if
I
you
said,
just
"What's
send a
a
list?
stash?"
Yeah, what if you just send a list with a girlfriend? Does that count too?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad you thought that part out.
But I am coming up to Reno soon, so we'll
Are ya?
see.
Lucky
Yeah.
you.
I got to bring my machine in, so
Time for a spa day?
yes, it is. I didn't realize I had 7 million stitches on it, and it's like, ooh, I've only
Goes
had
fast.
a
It
year.
goes
Oh, it
fast.
does.
So here's the thing, having worked for the company, I have had so many multi-needle machines over the course of my employment there. And none of mine really got that many stitches because, the new model would come out and I get a new one essentially. But I did have the opportunity once. I was working a trade show for IPD, which was Industrial Products Division. And I came across the guys from the purchasing department at Disney. And the show was in California. So these guys were from Disneyland corporate office. And they were looking at, this was the year that Brother launched a 10 needle.
Mhm.
And they were looking at it, and being the fan of Disney that I am, I had been to the park several times and noticed once I started working for Brother that the hat machines that I so envied when I was a kid. I mean, when I was a little kid, I just wanted to grow up to be able to do that chain link name on the kids on somebody else's ears. I mean, that's how simple it was then. They just had a machine that just did a chain stitch, and they just did people's names. I always used to tell my mom, I want to grow up to do hats at Disneyland. And she would just look at me like, my God, you're nuts. And then, who knew, right? Right. So, when I worked for the company, then I all of a sudden really noticed that all of the hat machines, although they weren't doing that chain stitch anymore, all of them were PR 600s, PR 620s. They were the old models, the 600 actually had a floppy disk drive. The 620 was the first one to have a USB port, but the screen was horizontal and not friendly. But with the Disney machines, they only did one thing. They did a chain stitch. So they programmed the machine to do a chain stitch, and that was it. Everything else, they didn't have to have anything on the screen other than the alphabet to be able to type someone's name. And so when these guys came looking at the 10 needle, I said, I really got to ask you, how do you keep those machines? How long do you keep those machines? Because I mean, the hat shop in Disney is open on Main Street from the time the park opens to the time it closes. I mean, those machines are running all the time, and every single day. And they said, well, we do have a department, that's dedicated, we do have a service department that's dedicated to the machines. And he said, we have, when we have bought replacement machines over the years, and then the old machines become part machines. But he said, in essence, we have let the machines go around completely 3 times, which means 999,999,999 stitches. So when it hits 1 billion, it flips back over to 0. And he said we've gotten several times that the Japanese have come in and just been so impressed that we got that many stitches. But he said we keep them very well taken care of. So this is a testament to not letting your machine get old and dusty. They said our maintenance department does the oiling and does does all of the service on them. The needles get changed frequently. They get oiled every day. They get oiled at the end of the day or the beginning of the day by the service department because they run all day long. And he said, we just service them. We just keep them serviced. They just keep running. So, it's kind of a testament to that. Now, keep in mind, your domestic machine is not made quite the same way, but I've just always done that. I've always been fastidious about service. So, and then, Jeannie always teases that my machines get a spa day every month. Well, my spa day is really nothing more than taking the needle plates off, making sure that all the dust gets out. Please don't blow it into the inside of your machine, because nothing's worse than when the boys open the machine and dust bunnies for 12 days come rolling out. And plus you have moving parts in there that you can't see. So don't blow the dust back in. Open the top, brush out the lint, and put a new needle in, even if it doesn't sound like it needs a new needle, and you're good to go. On the domestics, on the Brother machines, on the big machines, it's kind of the same. I oil the felt pads above the needles. I put in 10 new needles. I clean out under the needle plate, and I brush under the cutter. And that machine, mine's still going. I mean, this is the one I have now. It's a 1000. No, it's a 1050. And so I got it probably in 2018. And I don't know how many millions of millions of stitches are on it, but I've had it serviced twice since I worked here. And that's it. That's it. Well, I run my machine a lot. And I do a lot of patches, and I run patches on that machine because I can put 10, 15 patches in a hoop, and then just push go and walk away.
Yeah, I don't use my 10 needle as much anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I had it serviced a year and a half ago, and I think I've used it twice.
And what did you used to use it for that you're not doing anymore?
Well, I just come in my other room and sit down at the other machines now. But
Yeah.
no, same thing. I used to do all my quilts and all, Kimberbell and designs by Juju, Sweet Pea Designs, all of them on that machine. And it was easy because the hoop, I have the big hoop in it
Yeah.
and it's really nice. But yeah, I don't use it as much. I was thinking about getting rid of it and then I have second thoughts and.
Well, before we had snap hoops from Dime, and before we had edge to edge embroidery patterns built in to our machines,
Mm-hmm.
I quilted a queen size quilt edge to edge on my multi-needle, just using the camera placement and two
Mhm.
bar stools on either side of the machine. But I could never find what I wanted. I mean, I started I think like everybody else, I bought one of the Amelie Scott books when I was at an event somewhere. One of the girls there I was working with said, "Oh my gosh, you got to try this." I'm like, "Really? I got to try what?" She's like, "Oh, you can quilt on your embroidery machine." So I bought the book. I did a couple of baby quilts, and I'm like, "This is nice, but there's too much space for me in between the designs. I mean, there's too much vacant space."
Bacon.
Yeah. And then this quilt top, this panel that I had bought was literally the panel itself. It's a Christmas panel. It's got poinsettias on it. The panel itself fits across the top of a queen size bed before you even add anything to it.
Mm.
So it was huge. And I wanted something that had a poinsettia on it, and I couldn't find it. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to make my own. I'm going to make my own, or I'm going to figure out a way to make my own. So I noticed that a lot of the people that sell long arm quilt files sell not only the formats that go in a quilting machine, because my embroidery software, my PE Design won't read that. BES lettering, on the other hand, will read some quilt, the extension for a quilting machine. But what they did have is they had like a WMF file, which is a meta file, or a Windows meta file, or an EMF, which is, again, a capsulated meta file. PE Design reads that. So I would just buy the quilting design that I wanted. I would open that file up in PE Design, and I would create that long arm edge to edge quilt file.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It was addictive. I can't tell you how many of them that I have, because now I can make them whatever size I want in PE Design. I can now do them, in a bigger hoop on the other machine. But the multi-needle was so easy because it's so non-fussy. I mean, you can put any thread in it. I think with this quilt, I had monofilament on the top because the panel was so pretty, but I had this heavy weight, like almost a 30 weight metallic thread in the bobbin, so that the back would be festive, and I had not one thread break in 72 hoopings. So they're not fussy. It's an industrial machine. Nobody in a factory pays a factory worker to keep having to change thread, So it just long history of making things, but I'm still not giving up on the chenille. All right, so let's see what we got for number 2 here. Number 2 is to stitch the snowflake details. It looks like we are still using the linen through the neck, this and the cuff lace detail as well. So just push go.
I'm listening very closely about the 10 needles.
Yes.
The week after next, I'm getting a used 10 needle from our shop in Portland.
Yes.
And
is that Aloha or Saves?
Safe.
Oh, I know Robbie.
You know Robbie?
I did events for Robbie Tuzano.
Yes, Robbie knows me well.
Yeah.
But it was one of the ladies that teaches at their shop.
Uh-huh.
And that it was hers. It's a 1050X.
Well, good. That's what I have.
Okay. Oh, question. Does it have any Disney on it? Because it is
No.
Okay.
No. Disney, so that's like an open-ended question. So I'll answer the question open-ended. Disney controls what machines Brother produces that get the Disney designs built into them. And since Disney has always considered multi-needle machines to be industrial machines and you can't sell things with Disney, they would not allow Disney to go on to the multi-needle machine. So if you have like another Brother machine, like you have a Luminaire, or you have like another one of the Brother machines, like it doesn't even have to have the letter D in its number anymore. So like the 3750D has a D, but the 3550W that we've been selling a ton of doesn't have a D in the name, but it can still buy the legitimate designs from Brother Eye Embroidery. And now they also have added Disney designs that you can purchase through Artspira, but Artspira will still not permit you to buy it if the machine that you are trying to buy it for is a multi-needle. So that's the one side of the double-ended question.
Okay, so I have a Luminaire.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, there's like 5,000 million people on Etsy and eBay that are selling their own digitized versions of Disney designs. I mean, it's really not hard to find them. You know, and you can sew anything like that. You can sew on a Luminaire or a multi-needle. So, but I guess if you want the legitimate design that's on your Luminaire, you're sewing it on the Luminaire. So yeah, Disney controls that, and I can't say that I blame them. It's like all of the colors that are the colors assigned to the Disney designs that are on your machine are all picked out by Disney. I mean, Brother doesn't set the color scheme on that. Disney does. Of course, there are no thread police. You can always sew it out in whatever color you want. Maybe Elsa needs to have a pink dress for a while instead of a blue dress. I don't know.
I don't know.
Excuse me, Michelle.
Change
Yeah.
the sizes.
Yeah, you can't change. Well, even on the ones you buy from Brother, you can't change the sizes on them. If you want to change the sizes, you have to buy something off like Etsy or something. Okay, Michelle, go ahead.
We're not doing a color change on the snowflakes. We're just hitting go
Nope,
again.
you're just hitting go again. I think they just keep it in segments just so that you know where the heck you're at. And then the second one is actually the top part. Is actually the top part of the stocking, so we're not changing for that either.
Just to let you know, a person who's doing one on Meridian with the old hoop and the magnetic hoop on my Luminaire hoop is not pulling or stretching, but
Yeah.
the Meridian is.
Yeah, well, so are they the same kind of hoop though? Because it's the Brother makes them both. So I mean, if they're both the machine hoops, then they're going to be exactly the same.
No.
So I can't say why. I mean, maybe you didn't screw the other one down as tight, but because there's no difference between a Brother hoop and a baby lock hoop. If they're the hoops that come with the machine, they're made by Brother, so they're all the same.
No, I have the magnetic hoop on my Luminaire.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that the magnetic hoop is doing better than the regular hoop?
Yes.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Are you doing 2 at a time?
Well, of course.
Oh my gosh, you overachiever, you.
I've got them staggered a bit.
How fun. All right. There's one snowflake.
Michelle, I used my 10 needle for the this design,
Uh-huh.
and thank goodness I had it because I traded in my Luminaire while
I
I'm waiting
know
for
you.
the
I'm thinking like,
Avenir.
why is she bringing it so soon?
Well, it just worked out. The drive from Texas was a long one, and that fit our
Yeah.
schedule. So, and I wanted somebody else to enjoy it while I waited for the Avenir.
Well, the
It all
person
worked
that
out.
bought it was so excited. So
Oh, that's
for
wonderful.
those of you that are trading Luminaires in on Avenirs, first of all, know that the person that buys your machine, we take really good care of them. Your machine is fully serviced. We do a complete inventory on it. We make sure all the pieces, parts, and everything else is there. We also offer the same set of lessons to the person that's buying your trade-in as we offer to you when you bought it new. We really pride ourselves on taking care of the customer. So know that, and know that some of these people that have come in looking for, they never thought they would ever be able to afford a luminaire and never knew that, you know, that your trade-in made them a very happy human being. So know that your trade-in caused joy to someone else, if that's, you know, if that's what you're doing.
And that gives me such pleasure. That just
Doesn't it?
makes me
Doesn't
very
that feel
happy.
good? I mean,
Yeah.
I get attached to my machines. All of
I
my
do too.
things, you know, and I'm like, you know, I was like, you know, my 10 needle has a name. Everybody has a name. It just like makes them kind of personal, you know?
Mine does too.
So I'm always, you know, I'm always happy that I'm excited. I love embroidery. I love this world. I love everything about it. And I'm always excited. You know, when I bought my first embroidery machine, I was a single mom. I mean, it was really a lot of money and I didn't really think I could afford to do it. And my first machine was a used machine, and I got to buy more machine than I could afford to buy. So I know how they feel. I remember how that feels. So, and then I'm having the same grief now because after 17 years of working for Brother, I never had to buy a machine. I never had to buy a single one of them. Now, if I trade my Luminaire in on an Avenir, I got to buy a machine. I'm like, what? I got to buy a machine. So I feel the grief. I feel the pain.
You know, my problem is I don't get rid of my machines. I just keep buying them.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're using, that's fine. I just kind of, my motto now, like I do have a collection of vintage machines, and the boys and Patrick have laughed at me when I found somebody traded in. I think they just dropped it. They traded it in. They traded in a 1964 new home.
Oh my gosh, this was my first machine.
It was an olive green color. When you opened there, first of all of the little tiny cams that went in that machine in 1964 were there.
Wow.
When you opened the accessory box, there were needle plates and stuff in there that had never been opened. They were still in the brown tissue paper. And,
Oh, what a find.
and all I heard was the boys are going to use it for parts. And I'm like, no, they are not. No, they are not. So I bought it and took it home. And my husband's like, oh my God, do we really need another one of these? And I'm like, you don't understand. I rescued it. But I do keep them because you know what? Along the way, I've encountered people that wanted their kids to start sewing, that were people that were special to me for one reason or another. And one of my, you know, so I rehome them. I mean, I know that I can rehome them, and I know that a kid that starts sewing will have something that's very reliable and not something that's broken or something that costs $99 from Walmart that you can't get a straight stitch on. But about, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago, maybe two, one of my friends' mother and passed away, and she's like, I'm cleaning out my mother's closet. I've got this featherweight, and I thought of you first. And she said, I really only want like $30 for it. And, you know, I'm honest. I said, you know, you could sell that for a lot more than $30. I mean, come on. It's, you know, it wasn't like a collector's model or anything, but it still was a perfectly good featherweight in working condition with nice paint and all of its parts. You know, she could have got at least 250, maybe 300 in a good market for it. And she's like, no, I want to give it to you because I want you to have it because I know that you'll appreciate it. And I'm like, okay, you're sure. So literally I went right over there, gave her $30 and brought the machine home. And about 6 months later, one of my friends, her granddaughter, they are a multi-family home. Her and her husband rent a large house, and her daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter live with them. And so the housing up here is exquisitely expensive. So it just kind of works out well that way. But they all seem to get along, and it's such a good example for a granddaughter to kind of grow up with that, you know, generational family, but she said, this is what I caught her doing this morning. She has tape and a stapler and she's making clothes for her Barbie with tape and a stapler. She's cut out the pieces. She's cut out all the pieces and and I'm like, so what are you thinking? You thinking maybe she needs like a sewing machine? She's like, yeah, I mean, I'd love to get her a sewing machine, but I just don't see us, having the money to do that. And I said, well, what if I could help with that? So I took the one that I bought from her for $30 and I gifted it to her granddaughter. And I have the best pictures of her she still uses it. She's like,
That's
that was
awesome.
like a few years ago and I still get pictures all the time. She loves it. So, I think sometimes, those kind of machines I keep around, but my computerized machines, I do not, because they're like your car. Your best trade-in value is like 6 years, 60,000 miles. And, once you have an electronic machine where the computer board starts going and all those things start going, I mean, it's great that it lasted you for 20 years, but it's 20 years, it's time to get rid of it,
Mhm.
Before it starts costing you more money than it's worth to fix. So.
My first embroidery machine was an Asante,
Aw,
and it was like built like Brother or Baby Lock. I can't remember what. And I used it so much that it quit working on me after years and years of using it. And I took it in and the guys took it apart and I heard, oh my, come from the back. And where you normally have, like, if you put your fingers and you normally have a place where they would connect and move
uh-huh.
along. Mine was like if you closed your fist and you had knuckles.
Oh my gosh. So
And
it's just all bound up inside, huh?
well, no, it was wore out,
Oh,
totally wore out. And I don't know, they ended up giving me like 300 or 400 because they wanted to use it for parts
yeah.
for the other people that they knew, because they said the rest of it was in shape because I kept care of it.
Uh-huh.
That was my first change into an up-to-date embroidery machine.
Yeah. If you do a lot of embroidery, if you really enjoy it, I look at it like any other thing that you really enjoy. I mean, you can't really judge what people spend on the things that they give their time to that they love. It's like, I don't golf, but I have no comment on people that spend money on titanium golf clubs because I don't know. I don't, there's a lot of things I don't do. I used to ride horses. And let me tell you, that's probably one of the most expensive hobbies you can ever have. Not only do you feed them, is they require medical attention periodically as well. But I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I had in horse gear and boarding and training and riding and all that kind of stuff. So I don't judge. Somebody wants to spend money on golf clubs, somebody wants to spend money on a high-end embroidery machine. I don't judge at all. I think that you're only here for a short time. Be happy.
I did check with my insurance agent when I got a new homeowner's insurance, and some of the kids I say that work there, which are now in their 30s or whatever, but when I said I had sewing machines, and they're like, oh, it's covered. And I said,
I'm like, yeah, no, you don't get it.
and I said, maybe you should know because I want replacement value. And they're like, what's replacement value? And when I told him, he's like, come again? What did you mean? Or a couple $1,000s? And I said, no, not close.
Yeah. I have a separate policy on mine. I had to go that route. But at this point, I'm like, I don't even know if I even want to pay that anymore because I know neither of my kids want anything to do with them. So I don't know. It's okay. Here we go. Now I want you to do a check because we're going into the top part of the stocking. I want you to check now, look at your bobbin and make sure that you have enough thread to do the next step. I look like I am okay, but I am going to change it anyway. You know why? I'll tell you. I'll show you, because I know I went through 3 white bobbins. This looks like it's still a lot of thread, and it will be a lot of thread if I'm doing a basic embroidery, but it won't be a lot of thread if I'm doing lace. So I'm going to actually grab a new bobbin. You can always save half full bobbins for smaller projects, but when you're doing freestanding lace, stuff like that, I don't like to jump parts to the next step until I know I have enough bobbin thread to complete it. I mean, any of us that do a lot of embroidery know that we can always use a half a bobbin, right? But for this,
Not always true.
Yeah.
Depending on what color.
Yes, true. But it's a pre-wound white. Come on. I can use that for just about anything.
I can't use pre-wound bobbins on my Bernina.
You what?
I can't use pre-wound bobbins on my new Bernina because the bobbin is so big. Huh?
Oh, it has a bigger bobbin. Yeah. They don't make pre-wounds for that yet?
No, not yet.
What's the matter with that girl? She has to be more cooperative for you. They need to get you some pre-wound bobbins. Come on. They can do that.
I wish that Bernina had taken some of the things from the 880 and put on the 990.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, I really don't even know what it's like. I've never had one. So I don't know. I mean, we get a lot of them, as trade-ins, but I've never had one. Never stitched on one. What I really would love to find, and that they're harder than heck to find, is I hear the 960 record does a straight stitch like no other machine on the planet. Although I've not been able to experience that. My PQ 1500s does a pretty good straight stitch. My old, Singer Featherweight does a pretty straight stitch. And believe it or not, the new home that I saved from the boneyard does a great straight stitch. But I don't know. I want to see. I want to try the if I can find a 960.
No, they don't make sewing machines as sturdy as they used to.
Yeah. True that. Although I can definitely say that I saw a PR, a multi-needle machine that fell off the back of a truck once, and that's probably the most destroyed machine I ever saw. Apparently they were going somewhere and they didn't feel the need to strap the machine to the bed of the truck. In other words, it wasn't even in the box. It was just, they were going to go do some live stitching somewhere. It wasn't strapped in. It was in the back of the truck, and I guess they got rear-ended, and it hit the car that rear-ended them and then bounced on the pavement.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. But you know what? The metal parts were still salvageable, but all the plastic was destroyed. But the metal parts on the inside were salvageable.
Yeah. Some lady bought a brand new sewing machine a couple of years ago, and her husband was carrying it out to the car and he dropped it just before he put it in.
We had that happen with one of our repairs. It was heartbreaking because
yeah, I'm sure it was.
It wasn't a new machine. It was a machine that she had since high school, I guess. Her parents bought it for her or something. These people were probably in their, I don't know, maybe mid-70s. But she'd had it forever. And she brought it in to have it serviced, and we did find in our boneyard a part that to replace. I think it was the bobbin winding pin mechanism that got broke or something. And we did find a machine in the boneyard that we could pull that part off of. And what's really interesting is sometimes I watch the boys when they have to fabricate a part themselves. In other words, they have to make a part out of what we have that's going to work and fit something that we can't get. But they managed to fix it, and she was so excited. And he went to lift it into the back of the car and dropped it in the parking lot. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. So sad.
Yeah.
So when I bring my new 10 needle home from Portland, which I live on the Oregon coast, about 3.5 to 4 hours away,
Uh-huh.
we belted in tightly in pieces
Yeah.
in the back seat of my truck.
Yes. Yes. So just be vigilant about changing needles. Be vigilant about making sure it has oil. Be vigilant about just cleaning it. Just general maintenance will go such a long way since you do live so far away. And like when I change, if I break a needle, if I'm sewing along just fine and I haven't hit anything and a needle breaks, it's probably because the needle's worn out. And if that needle's worn out, that means the other 9 are worn out too, because the needles are like the cheapest part of the whole project. So if something like that happens, then I usually will change all 10 needles. But here's the thing, I don't usually have that happen because when it gets a spa day about every month or every other month. Every other month if I haven't used it, every month if I am currently running patches all day long. So it doesn't have the opportunity for that to happen because there's always a new sharp needle in it. If I hit something and break a needle, then that's a different story. Then I'll just go, okay, well, that pin was a little bit too close for comfort, just change the needle. So I don't get a whole lot of hours on the needles. I get, I feel like it's worth it because, I never have problems with it, but diligent with the oil, the drop of oil, not a squirt, a drop. And then Jeannie has a video she just posted, I think, about her doing maintenance on her multi-needle, where she shows you how to pull that little presser foot down and oil the felt pad at the top. So again, keep it oil, and you can tell. I mean, once you get used to using a multi-needle, you'll be able to tell there's a different sound when the machine needs oil, and you're like, okay, I forgot, I'll go get it right now. So Oregon
Yes,
coast, Newport,
Even on the Bernina, you have to oil it all the time, and if it needs oil, it goes thump, thump, thump.
yeah.
It tells you.
So is there any special needles that you use with that?
I do not. I use a 7511 needle. I don't use a really tiny needle, mainly because you have 1 needle threader and 10 needles. And if you make the hole in if the hole in the needle is too small for the needle threader and you bend it, then it doesn't work on any of the needles. So I use the 7511 90% of the time. Please remember that a multi-needle machine came from the industrial products. If you don't think they would pay somebody in a sweatshop to change the size of the needle, then you probably don't have to either. The only time I do change a needle is I run metallic thread right on the top of my machine. I also run monofilament thread right on the top of my machine. On my multi-needle, I don't give it extra space. I don't baby it. I just run it right through. In that case, I sometimes will put a 90 top stitch in that one needle. So what I do is put the 90 top stitch in, and then I tape the other needle, the 75 needle. I tape it to the side of the machine so I know that one of the needles has a different needle in it. So I remember. But that's it. I've never really used anything else.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's the least fussy machine you will ever own. And always think first, if somebody was working for a minimum wage in a sweatshop, would they pay them to change needles? Would they pay them to do this? So it's an industrial machine. The best thing is to just keep it clean, keep the needles fresh, and keep it with oil. Michelle,
Take needles?
go ahead.
Oh,
7511.
do you use the anti-glue needle?
I do not.
Okay.
My multi-needle doesn't like them. I have a pack of them, but I keep alcohol wipes. I just buy the boxes of alcohol wipes. I keep them near my machines. If I'm using sticky stabilizer a lot, then you'll notice you've all seen this if you use sticky stabilizer. At some point you've got this big shredded bubble at the very top of your needle. That means that you've got glue on your needle. So you got to stop anyway because you got to rethread. So while you've stopped, just take the alcohol wipe, swipe the needle, and you're good to go.
Michelle, this is Gloria. I have a question. I had bought a box of the Oregon needles for my XJ1, the 7511. And I don't know, was there a bad batch of those needles about a year ago?
I don't know. Usually
Hmm.
organ needles is what they put in the box with the machine. I don't know. Why are you having trouble with that batch? Could
Well,
be.
I bought a box of 100. I think
Uh-huh.
there's 100 in the box.
Yes.
And I took one of the packets out, finally took it out. I've had them for about 8 months, but because I haven't been able to sew too much. And I broke like 3 needles in a row.
All right.
And
First of
then
all, are you getting them all the way up into the shaft?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. And
And
I
then
even
what do
tried it on my baby lock machine, and I took another pack out and 2 of the needles broke.
Are they from
I-
Amazon?
No.
Okay, because they
Yeah.
sometimes.
Good call, Linda. Good
Thanks.
call.
Oh, Amazon, I
Patrick-
won't buy from Amazon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Patrick had a little conversation about that, how Amazon
Yeah.
kind of hoodwinks us by saying that they are those needles and they are
And they're
actually
not.
not. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I would say just call. If you bought them here, call Patrick.
No, no. I bought them local here, and I just
Oh.
haven't been able to get back out.
Yeah, I would go talk to them and see what they say. I have
Mhm.
not heard that, but it sounds like if you're sure you're getting them all the way up into the shank and then you're not, it's not a buildup of, glue from
Yeah.
stabilizer or anything else. Is it only with one kind of thread or no matter what thread you put
It
on?
doesn't matter. I've tried
Okay. Yeah, you've
3
hit all the
different
bases.
types. Yeah,
You hit all
yeah.
the bases here.
Okay, I was just curious before I go up and talk to them about it,
Yeah.
you know. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have a multi-needle, it's really much more cost effective to buy the needles by the that have like 100 needles in them, because then you at least have 10 needle changes. I don't necessarily throw the needles away when I change them on my multi-needle. It just goes, the torque on the multi-needle is just different than the torque on a like a luminaire or something like that. So if I feel like, well, I probably didn't need to change the needles, I didn't sew that much, I might save them in a separate little box, and and I'm like, okay, maybe I can get a few more hours out of this one on my luminaire or something. So those of you that know me know that I don't throw anything away until it's completely dead. I do the same thing with the blades for my ScanNCut. It may not cut it may not cut vinyl really well, it may not cut marine vinyl really well anymore, but I'm going to hang on to it because it's still going to cut paper, so.
And I live so far away, and I did buy like a half a box. My sister and I split 100.
Yeah. Yeah, it's harder if you live in some of the outlying areas or you live far away from the dealer. It's difficult. And of course, a lot of us, we had to get what we could get during COVID, during the lockdown, because a lot of dealers weren't open or we weren't able to, physically get there. So there's a lot of reasons.
Well,
Hey,
Michelle,
Michelle.
oh,
Oops, okay.
it's Linda. You got me in so much trouble, and I'm so excited. I bought a heat press and a sublimation printer.
Oh my God, good for you. We're gonna have fun.
I know, so I'm just getting it ready to hook up and all. And then I went to Walmart, and I about had a heart attack. There's like hundreds of sweatshirts and shirts with all this Christmas stuff all over it. And I go, what
Yeah.
have I done?
You can do that.
I know, but it's like they're already there for like 12 bucks. It's like, but I know I'm going to create my own,
But
but I'm
You
excited
don't
to
have to
learn.
just do, like sweatshirts. I mean, I use my heat press a lot for the sublimation printer. I am loving. Now, I like the print motor printer, the fabric printer. I liked it, but I didn't have room for it, and I didn't like it enough. But the sublimation printer, when Brother launched the sublimation printer, I was all over that, because first of all, I know what kind of technology and what kind of team they have in business machines that that do printers and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, this is a printer company. And I also know the quality of the ink, because I had those printers for 15 years. Every time my printer broke, they just send me a new one. So I've had that, and I've had that, I knew what that quality would be. So I jumped right on that, and I have not regretted it 1 second. And those of
Well,
you
I
that
take
like,
a lot
bling-
of classes from you.
I'm gonna do, I think, so I'm gonna put some stuff together. We're not gonna do organized classes like from here. There'll be classes I do on my own, on my days off or something. Because it's, there's not a lot of there's just not a lot of market for it right now. But this morning I was watching the video when I got up on how to put, okay, you guys, hang on to your seats. Those of you that are ready to do rhinestones, hang on to your seats. I watched a video on how to do a tumbler wrap with all rhinestones and heat set those rhinestones onto a drink tumbler, which means that I can heat set it onto a coffee cup, which means that I can heat set it onto a slate piece, that I can heat set it onto pretty much anything. So, I mean, there's just so much out there. I'm like, my brain is like full.
I'm
I'm
putting pictures on the slate for all my family.
Good for you.
Vignettes
you.
that they've done. So that's going to be their one of their
Yeah.
Christmas presents.
Yeah. It's a fun world.
It's crazy world. It's fun though.
I'm just trying to figure out how to mix it in with some embroidery, because you got to have bling, you got to have embroidery, right? We got to make everything work together.
That's for sure.
So you're welcome. I'm glad I got you into trouble, because I hate being in trouble by myself. It's
I
always
know,
better
right?
somebody else is in trouble with you.
I have a brother's scan and cut CM650W. Am I gonna have problems getting mats for it and blades?
You might, but right now right now there's a pretty plentiful selection on Amazon, but I'm not sure many dealers have that anymore. But here's the good thing. That W stands for wireless. It means that you could be using all of the free design files that are on Artspira. So if you haven't already done that, do it. For those of you that were like Artspira phobic, you can't be that way anymore, because everything's going that way. Don't be left in the dust. You got to come with me. So, yeah, just go ahead and link your scan and cut to that. That's 500 designs. Those are on the free platform. They never took the free platform away. They added some paid features that made it a paid platform, but the free stuff still there, always still there, all the way back to the beginning. So I have my 650W actually is going to get rehomed. I'm taking it with me to Missouri for my granddaughter. I gave her mom my 350. So we're going to have a girls crafty weekend over
That'd be
Thanksgiving.
nice.
Yeah. So, but yes, it's actually, you can use Artspira, anything wireless. So that's the difference between My Connection, which is a feature that is just between the scan and cut itself, the 330 scan and cut or the 325 scan and cut, and either the Luminaire or the Stellaire, because it's a two-way connection back and forth. I can send back and forth. But Artspira is not limited to that. Artspira links with any Brother machine that's wireless. So a lot more opportunity there. Okay, we're looking at Kiwi. We're looking at Kiwi. Actually, we are looking at the Christmas green. So we're going to change the bobbin thread to match the top thread. So let me get my little, and it's green, so it should be an easy one. I get my little baggie of bobbins.
Michelle, this is Annette.
Hello, Annette. How are you?
Good. I just want to let you know on the pre-wound Field Tech, I had the beige that matched pretty good to the linen.
Good. Oh, good. That's great.
I only used one or
Really?
half of one. I didn't need to.
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. I wound thread from the spool. So that's why.
That's why.
I guess the Field Tech has more yardage on it.
Yeah. So I just want to give you a heads up when you use them.
Thank you.
Get more
Thanks for
yardage.
that. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. So thank you.
Michelle, this is Linda Steinport.
Hello, Linda.
Hi. I made mine already, and I would like to know if you can show us how to put a hanger on that, where we would put the ribbon to
Okay.
hang them.
So if you're
That's
gonna,
a good idea.
oh, you want to do a brain buster with all those layers? That's why you're asking, huh? Because those layers were kind of confusing. You know what?
Probably when you put the back on, but I wasn't sure and I forgot actually. So
you know what? I'll get some
glued
ribbon.
it on.
I'll go get some ribbon and we'll try it. Okay. So, because if I
Okay.
get it wrong, it's okay. It won't matter. But that way we'll know. It's going to be one of two ways. So if I do it one way and it's wrong, it's going to be the other way. So, but that's a really good idea.
Okay, and
Then
did you
can
do
hang
the
it up
smaller one or the larger one? I did
No.
the six, I did this large one.
Yeah, this is 6x10.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I would gather that the 5x7, which is not that much smaller to be honest with you, but I guess it would probably make a really good, it would probably make a really good, stocking to hang on the tree with a gift card or something.
Sure. And this could too. It's big, but it's not as big as you think it is.
Yeah, it's not too
So,
bad. I
Yeah,
mean, I have the sample here and it was by the time
Yeah.
you get everything stitched to it and then you get it turned inside out because you're going to lose some stuff with that. Then,
right.
yeah.
Michelle, this is Gloria. Can you put a gift card in the small one by chance?
I have no idea because I didn't make the small one. Does it
Oh, you
say what
didn't?
No, I made the I made the 6x10. Does it say what
Okay.
the size is? So it says it doesn't say what the, wait a minute. Yeah, so the finished size would be 4.5 inches wide by 6 on the 5x7. So my guess is when you turn it, if you clip your corners well and you can turn it, get a good turn on it, yes, you should be able to fit a gift card. Because I think
Okay.
gift cards are what, 2.5 inches by 3 inches or something like that. They're not
Something
very
like
big.
that. 3, maybe 2.5, 3, something like that.
Yeah, but at most. So
Okay.
unless it's a gift card that's a different shape, I mean, that would be the only thing, but.
This is so pretty. I can't wait to see it. Gorgeous.
It's a lot of fun. I'm like, you're like me, Linda. You can't wait for the final thing to happen as it develops to start to fall in love with the project, don't you? For those of you that are signed up for the Merry Grinchmas class, oh my gosh, I had so much fun with that, you guys. Even when I was filming it, I'm like, welcome to Merry Grinchmas. I'm so excited. I do love the Grinch. I don't know why, but I guess it doesn't matter.
I loved your sublimation Grinch shirt for Jeannie. That is just
Oh,
adorable.
isn't that fun?
Yeah. I bought it. I haven't done it yet, but I do
Oh,
have it.
it's such a cute design. So I really have not had that much experience doing it. I just watch a lot of videos and and I know people. But here's the biggest difference, I think, ladies, is I have a giant bag of thrift store stuff in my garage. I'm not afraid to try something if I don't know what the answer is. I'm like, is this right? I don't know. Well, I'm gonna find out because I'm gonna try it anyway. Because that kind of it's not a failure, it's actually progress because you know what doesn't work. But I'm not afraid of anything. I think for that, so the little Grinch for the t-shirt, and I actually did not make that t-shirt for Jeannie. I made that t-shirt for a sample for the store, but Jeannie loved it and it fit her perfect. So I guess it is Jeannie's shirt now, but I was making it because I had not had, in the past, I had tried to sublimate on t-shirts before I had my heat press with just using my Cricut iron. And a lot of people will say, oh, you can be successful sublimating with a Cricut hand iron. And I'm here to tell you that you might be able to, but I cannot. Because if I breathe, apparently my fingers move slightly. And it causes what they call ghosting. And so ghosting is like when the image you have, set down that you're trying to sublimate moves even a nanometer. So I thought, okay, well, I can do this. So I did the little t-shirt for Jeannie first and it came out really good. And then I did another t-shirt and I just thought, well, I'm good to go now. So I don't need any more practice. I'm good to go now. And the second one came out I'm like, oh my God, now I know exactly what ghosting is. And so the third t-shirt was a charm. So what did I learn? I learned that you really should, if in that case, I had to trim my paper the size of the Grinch. In other words, the other one I started with a full sheet of paper after it printed, and I really needed to cut it out because by cutting it out, I was able to apply more heat tape to the actual image to keep it still. And then also on t-shirts, anything really, it's become a habit now, is you have to lint roll everything. If you live in Nevada, even dust in the air. And then you also heat whatever you're going to put sublimation on. You have to heat it up. All right, we are on step number, the berries step. So that's step number 12. And we're going to I'm going to go ahead and put in my berry colored thread because I'm going to have to change to that bobbin anyway. So I'll just do it now before it asks me to do it. Or it is asking me to do it. So let's see. Which color is that? So it is the darker red. No, it isn't, because one is double red and marine. So it's a lighter red. So that means I am using Wildflower.
On the red?
Yeah, on the red Wildflower.
Michelle, are we going to be able to watch this after?
Yes.
I have to run for a few minutes.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, good.
Although somebody coming in after, if they're at work today and listening to this, is like, what are these ladies talking about? Because they're certainly not talking about Kimberbell sewing. But we had a lot of dead time, so I thought we had to do something, right? Right?
Exactly.
Girls just got to have fun, right? And guys, I think we have a couple gentlemen just.
Well, I should be back in about 15 minutes. So.
Alrighty.
Okay, thanks.
Michelle, I'm picking up my sublimation printer either today or tomorrow.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to work on a couple of little projects around after, during the holiday break. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is probably do a little tutorial on shirts, because I think that's kind of what everybody likes to do. And I also, for those of you that don't have a supplier near you, on the t-shirts, I buy t-shirts from a gal on Etsy, and I have for years. The name of her store is Blanksful, Blanksful. And she's in Tennessee, but she has the largest supply of sublimation shirts around. All right, let's go ahead and stitch this. And then you're going to need your little piece of heat transfer vinyl. And so the thing to understand is, if you want a really good sublimate, you need something that's got a high content of polyester. Cotton fades pretty fast, but her shirts are so the quality is so nice that you don't even know. They're just so totally soft. All right, so we're going to hold this down or tape it down. Also, do a check on your presser foot right now too, because sometimes when we stitch a lot, the presser foot gets loose. Make sure your needle's tight. It's just when it runs a lot, sometimes those things get loose. You can tape it if you want. I'm just going to hold it down.
Is anyone having trouble? My threads threading about 4 times already.
All right, look at your needle. Look at your needle. Do you have a buildup of stuff on your needle? If you don't, I would say change the needle.
Yeah, brand new needle, but think I should change it?
What size needle is it?
70-10 that they said for in the book.
I'm not going to say, I'm not a huge fan of the 70-10. I just feel like the eye of the needle's too small.
Okay, that could be it.
That's the only thing I usually change on Kimberbell. I didn't notice the needle size. Every time they have you do Kimberbell leather, they always want you to do a 70. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I do 70 when I piece, but not when I'm doing embroidery.
Okay, I'm gonna switch it then, because it keeps.
Try it and see if it sews better if you just switch that out.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and trim this now. You could probably tear it. Probably would tear quite easily.
Your bird is back down the plane. Oh.
Michelle,
Yes.
did you already embroider that down?
Yeah. Well, no, I just stitched it down. It was just a placement, the tack down. Or was that a placement line? Is that what they told me? But it went around 3 times. So I thought it was, no, it was just, yeah, it was just, I did do the placement line, then this is the tack down. So I'm at 7. I'm at stitch. Yeah, I'm at stitch 7. So yeah, I did the tack down. It's the tack down line.
I totally missed it while I was threading. I don't have to hit it with the heat, do I?
No, not yet.
Okay, thanks.
No. Nope. It's stitched down. You don't have to. It's kind of like a applique, even though it's heat transfer vinyl. If you aren't gonna, once it's stitched down, if you aren't gonna move it around a lot, then you don't really even have to heat it. But in this case, I think they have you give it a press later. Or do they have you do it now? Oh yeah, I see that. Trim the glitter and using a pressing cloth, press the glitter for 15 to 20 seconds. I'll turn the iron on. Normally I would not worry about it, but since it's in the directions, we'll do it. So I'm going to turn the iron on to medium. I don't think it needs high. And I'm turning the steam completely off, because it definitely doesn't need steam. And I do have, I'm going to move you guys over the camera over in just a second. I do have the little piece, the transfer film that came off of it. So that's what I'm going to put on it to press it. And then I'll just put a pressing cloth over the whole thing. All right, let me move you guys over there. Right, so I have the thing with any type of heat transfer vinyl is this little piece of plastic that's on it can take an incredible amount of heat. And so it would be fine just all by itself, but I don't want to cause any damage or get too much heat or make any kind of make sure you have no steam. That's paramount. If you have steam and you hit it with steam, your stabilizer is going to begin to melt because it's wash away. And steam is wash away. All right, so I'm just going to cover this for now. A little goddess sheet here. And then I'm just going to press just in that one area for 10 to 15 seconds. All right. So pressing sheets too, since we're having a good class here. Teflon, goddess, anything like that, conduit of heat. It increases the heat. Pressing cloth like this buffers the heat. Parchment paper buffers the heat. Butcher paper buffers the heat. So when you have Teflon and you press, it's going to increase your temperature. It's going to be a hotter press. If you have parchment paper, butcher paper, not freezer paper, parchment, butcher, or a linen, or this is a wool. Sometimes I use just a piece of muslin. Then it's going to buffer your temperature a little bit. So you can kind of control your temperature that way too. And holds true on a heat press too. Same thing. It's just a big iron. All right. Come on. Come on. Okay, I can't get it to come up, so I'm just gonna cover you. All right, so the next is number 16. We are using the same bobbin thread and we're stitching the joy. That's a pretty good size bobbin, I should say. You can go ahead and throw that away now.
Is it the darker color?
No, it's the same color. It's the same that it is. So it's this color and this color. Yeah, so it's the darker color I think goes in the berries on the, because it doesn't, you don't use very much of it. The darker color I think goes in the berries on the later. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that started.
Those are the berries. Oh, very good.
Hey, Michelle,
Yes.
I looked at hemostat that you were showing earlier. Does A1 carry those?
Oh, are you talking about my really pretty one here?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. I think it's the tulip pink one.
And Jeannie's got them in stock?
Ooh, let me run and look. All right, I'm gonna step away for just a few minutes. So if you have a question, hold it till I get back. You're in luck, Cheryl. Also,
Perfect.
Jeannie's ordering more, so if anybody wants them, just let us know. Jeannie is placing an order right now. That was just the last pair, but we usually have them all the time.
I will be in later this afternoon if you could put my name on those.
I can do that.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.
How much are they?
They're not that bad. They're like $13.99.
Do you want me to place the order online?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
So it should say just it's I can give you the stock number. I don't know if it'll come up with the stock number if you have to name it.
Good job, babe.
It's TP 805 AP or 5-inch hemostat. Oh, you know, I probably should grab some ribbon while I was out there too. Let me go grab some ribbon. I found some ribbon. I found this ribbon and it's like glitter's gonna be all over the front of the stocking, but I think it'll at least be festive. So we'll try that and see how it works.
What width did you use on the ribbon?
What? I don't know. I just grabbed something sparkly in the box. So it looks like about 5/8.
5/8?
Yeah, I probably would have grabbed something. Yeah, 5/8. I probably would have grabbed something a little bit smaller, but I couldn't find anything that was Christmassy. It was all just a box full of Kimberbell ribbon, but nothing holiday-ish.
I use what I had. Mine's like 1/8 of an inch.
Well, I guess we could cut it down. I mean, this is just, but I don't know. It's sparkly. I'm gonna just leave it.
Yeah.
It's a big stocking. I'm gonna do a big hanger on it. Making progress. The worst is over.
I changed my needle and it's working. The other was threading it like crazy. So
Yeah. The embroidery thread is usually about 40 weight. And
Too
in
thick.
most brands, and typically, and you know that 70 eye on that 70 needle sometimes is just a little small.
okay, good to know.
All right, so I'm looking at these directions while this is stitching here. Ultimately, what I want to end up with is when I turn it, I want the ribbon to be between these two pieces here. So I think what I'm going to be doing, because I don't want it to the front, I want it to the back. That's typically, or the corner in the back. It's typically where you would have a hanger on a stocking. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the side of I'm going to wait until the lining that goes to the inside of the stocking that, makes a difference. It makes sense, is on, and then I'm putting the back on so that the seam that goes across the top, and that's which comes into play on 25. So there's the stitch on step 25 that goes across the top. So, but none of these other stitchings have actually sewn across the top. So I want it to be on the top. So the ribbon would be facing in towards the stocking and going into the seam in step 25, either back here. This is my guess. I might be wrong. Going back here in the corner if that's where you want it, or in the middle of so it gets caught in that seam. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What color do you have for the next color change?
For the next color change, I have the it looks like the darker pink. So it would be the darker pink is pink. The lighter pink is cotton candy. So it looks like the darker stitching first. Don't forget to change your bobbin after the joy. Yep, everything's still tight.
The next pink is the darker pink, right?
That's correct.
Darker pink, okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm.
All right, it binged at me. So what are we doing now? So now we're changing the bobbin thread and changing the top thread to cotton candy if you're playing along with the prescribed thread color changes. All right, here we go. We're getting there. Oh, Donna, I'm glad you were able to get out of bed for a little while and join us. That's good. All right, so we are going to the other red, the darker red. So I'm going to change out my bobbin. And this
Michelle,
might be, yeah, go ahead.
On my screen, it finishes two little pink flowers, and my two little pink flowers are still on the screen, but it stopped. Does
Okay,
that
did you
mean
run out of bobbin thread or did you,
No, it's like it's done, but if I hit start, I don't know where it's gonna start. Like it
okay,
didn't say
well,
to change to red.
here's what I think might have happened. If you touch the screen, it's an emergency shutdown. In other words, it stops stitching. So I
Oh,
think maybe you might have done that. So why don't you just, why don't you just have your finger on the green button, go button, push go and see where it goes. If it doesn't go someplace you think it should go, just push the button again. You can stop it. I think you probably touched the button inadvertently.
okay, you're right, because it's finished. Oh,
I do that
I
sometimes too.
did.
Yep. I do that too. I get myself in
Wow.
trouble. I lean across and it touches the screen of the machine and the machine stops. So, all right. So
Oh,
we have,
you know what it's doing? It's finishing the flower with, in the picture, it shows a different color, like
yes, it's a different pink. It's two pinks.
oh.
We did one dark pink and then we did a light pink. But if you've got them all in dark pink, that's okay too. Really, don't worry about it. In the scope of things, I always say, is it costume or is it couture? Is it an heirloom or is it a fun little project? So
It's still pretty. It's gonna have a
It's-
red berry in the middle, so
that's fine. Well, it's supposed to have a red berry in the middle.
so that'll make it all perfect then.
Yeah,
It's all good.
they're all perfect. It's cool. All right, so we have two little dots and then I think some little berries up above. Look to be sure, yes. And yes, so we're here. And it's doing the center here, same color of bobbin thread, same color of thread. So when you get back or done, you're just gonna push go again. So that 66 minutes of stitching has stretched out into almost an hour and a half because of it takes time to change, keeps changing the thread and the bobbin thread. All right, you can just push go again. It's gonna go do the berries up at the top that goes with or berries here and then at the top.
Shell,
Yes.
my thread had gotten caught in the where you wind it, and it snapped the thread, so I cleaned it out, but it keeps coming on as check your upper thread and rethread it. And
Okay, so turn the machine off and turn it on.
Okay.
Because it's going to revert to the same pattern. And then see if you can get it to escape its cycle.
This is magic.
Isn't it?
It is magic. So
I really
pretty.
think so too. I really do too. I love watching it develop sometimes.
Whoever creates these, whew, awesome.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it great?
No, it did it again.
Huh. So it snapped, the thread caught on something and snapped. Can you take like a flashlight on your phone and look inside where the take up lever is and see if you have a piece of thread that's caught in there that you can see?
You guys, I learned a valuable lesson, a brand new machine, and I didn't always make my needle go up and down before I threaded it, and somehow
Yes.
got it all messed up in the top lever.
Yep.
I was without my machine for 2 weeks because of that. It jammed so bad. So
Yeah.
now every time I put my needle up,
That's
down
always,
before I thread.
always a good way to start. I
Do
still
you
do
think
it.
hers could be that? Maybe it's her
Needle
top
down, needle
thread?
up. I don't know. It's what if it got caught, it might, if she can see it and she can reach it with tweezers, she can pull it out.
Yeah.
But if not, there's not really much else you can do. Yeah, definitely the culprits are usually don't needle up, needle down for the threader to work correctly and not bend the threader. And yeah, because sometimes if we're right in the middle of stitching something, then you know, the needle breaks or something like that happens, and we're not really in the complete upright position, you know, as far as the needle bar is to get it threaded. So yeah. And trust me, I do that one myself. It's not just, you know, it's not just newbies.
Ooh.
I get in it, I forget, I just get into doing something and I forget about it too. All right. So I'm going to move over to the table now. We're going to turn the hoop over. Don't take anything out of the hoop yet. Turn it over. And we're going to clean up some of this. You can see that with those berries, it's kind of messy. So if it's me at home, I have like a cigarette lighter and I just kind of quickly go over them. Don't burn your stuff, but quickly go over them. It's polyester thread. It shrivels right up. We don't do that here in the store, so I'm going to trim some of these. But to be honest with you, I'm only going to really work on these because those are the ones that would show if you looked inside the stocking. So I'm going to go ahead and pause you here. Come on, I know you can do it. There you go. All right. So you can see we got some stuff going on here. So I'm just really going to trim these. And I don't care if it's perfect. I just don't want to have quite the mess that was there. And then, let me see here.
This over there.
Yes. Are you there? I hear you.
I was just talking to myself.
Oh, did you answer?
No. Sorry.
No worries. All right, so I just have a piece of tape to pick up all this stuff so I can see where I've trimmed and where I haven't. Also keeps the floor a little bit cleaner. All of this doesn't get tossed on the floor. Although some of you might have good habits like doing it over the trash can. All right, that's about as good as it gets. All right, so we're gonna take one of those back pieces. Don't take it out of the hoop. We're gonna take one of those back pieces and we're gonna tape it wrong side of the fabric up. So here's my hoop, and I'm gonna show you the picture here so you can see the embroidery. The pretty side goes down towards the stocking. All right, so I'm kind of a divide the hoop in half kind of gal. So I'm going to use the markings on my hoop to help me place this. So I place it more central. I didn't move my design in the hoop. I can move it this way though. So I know it came in the center. So I'm just trying to make sure that all around my stocking, I end up with the stuff that's got the SF-101 on it. And if there's a little place that it's not, it's okay, but I'd rather if it did. But if I actually kind of fold the fabric and then match it with these notches on the back of the hoop, makes it easy to find that central location.
You're just using one panel at a time, right?
Yes, we're one panel at a time, right side down.
Okay.
Wrong side up. We're gonna stitch. So like other in the hoop projects, this one throws you because it's actually, you did a lot of embroidery before you actually even put any fabric down. So it kind of throws you, but like any other project, we're gonna sew, one is gonna get stitched almost all the way around the stocking, but not across the top. That's what this one's gonna do. The next one is gonna go all the way around, but it's gonna leave a hole for you to turn it here. If you're gonna tape, make sure that you've got the tape down, because nothing's worse than getting it stuck to the bed of your machine and having it just, your lining go flying. So when I get it right side up and I know I'm not going to push anything out of the hoop, I like to give it an extra little bit there. So, and then I'm going to pause while I move back over there. When you get to your machine, I'm just going to go back to using a white pre-wound bobbin and linen thread to sew it together.
Hey, Michelle, I'm confused.
Are you?
It says turn the hoop to the front. Place the back fabric right side down, covering the project.
You're right. I was looking at step number 24. Thank you for catching that. Turn the hoop to the front. Place
the
good. Right side down.
You're confused. I'm not. Okay.
You're not confused.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay,
Thank you.
I've lost my picture. It's on Jeannie Mulligan.
Yes, because I haven't turned it back on yet.
Okay.
When I swiped over from the table. Okay, so thank you, Cheryl, who caught this. We're putting the right side of the fabric down on the right side, right side of the hoop, not the wrong side of the hoop. So my bad.
Ooh.
Well, hopefully you didn't press go yet.
I didn't, thank goodness. I'm still trimming, so I'm good.
All right, so fabric goes, right side of the fabric goes to the right side of the embroidery on the top side of the hoop. And I'm switching back to linen thread. All right.
Do you change your bobbin thread?
Oh, nope. Thank you.
Woo, girl, good for
Well,
us.
you
Thank
know what?
too.
It wouldn't have mattered because it would have been in the seam, but thank you. I would have caught it by the next time. So where is that? Here's that half a spool of thread that I didn't finish using the first time. I'll pop that one back in there. What would I do without you guys?
Now you're gonna have to come to sit with me while I sew.
I'm
I
not
make
a
sure
good
I
one
do
to
the right
have-
thing.
I'm not a good one to have to sit and sew with anyone. I think I'm kind of antsy. I don't sit still very well. So this is when I sew here at work, it's different because I stitch standing up at home.
Do you?
I do because the multi-needle is and I do have a stool that, you know, I have what they call a saddle stool that doesn't have a back on it because it makes me sit up straight. But sometimes I just move between things and it's just easier to be standing up. I mean, periodically I do sit down, but no, I even when I sew bags and stuff, I sew standing up.
Michelle, it's Sue
Yes.
Smallball. Is there a way for you to timestamp the recording? I am really far behind. I had to restart 3 times.
We cannot timestamp the recording because it's Zoom and Zoom
Okay.
doesn't do that, but it shouldn't be hard to figure it out. It's going to be towards the end of the recording. And what I do, if you're just like falling behind now, what I would do is start at the end of the recording and go backwards instead of trying to fast forward.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's see if I can make the last part happen with a tie without making a boo-boo again. All right. I have my gold thread that's gonna make a lot of sparkles in there. I'm removing the hoop from the machine, turn the hoop to the back and place the lining fabric right side down, covering the entire project and tape the corners. So I'm thinking when this turns, this part we're putting down now on the back is actually going to be to the inside of the stocking. I know it sounds really weird, but I think that this one's going to be in the back, and then either way, it has to be between these 2 layers. So I'm going to put it between the 2 layers and tape it to the back of the hoop. Now, maybe I'll tape it to the front so I can keep an eye on it. All right. I don't think it matters because it just has to be in this seam here. And if I'm wrong, you can do yours the opposite way and it'll be right. All right, let me grab some more tape.
We'll watch you do yours first.
Yes, that would probably be. You're good.
We'll learn by your mistakes.
I told you I have no fear. I don't fear mistakes of any sort.
Can you come down a little bit to see where you're taping it?
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
So I'm going to try to get my
Yeah.
hanger towards the back corner of the stocking. And it's probably bigger than it has to be, but that's okay. And what I don't want is I don't want the stitching when it comes around here. I don't want it to sew the ribbon. Better go in a little bit. And I don't want to have to pick the ribbon out of tape because I hate that. I hate picking stitching out of tape. So I'm going to make sure it's taped well, but well out of the stitching area. All right. So now I'm going to turn my hoop over because this is the step I was working on before.
Do you
So
think
if you make,
do you think it needs to be towards the right side of the backing?
It needs to be, it's not going to matter. Let me grab the sample and I'll show you. So here's the seam that I'm looking for right here. So this part is already the one that's on, the stocking. When you turn it inside out, this is the part we're sewing on now, that's inside here. It just needs to be in the seam here. I don't want it stitched to the stocking. I want it stitched to the inside the seam line here when I turn it. So then I'll hang it like this. That's what my goal is. So when I turn it inside out, this is going to go up. I can't have it go up now because then it'll be on the outside of the stitching.
Yeah,
So if you make a mistake, you know, you can always call it your own.
Yeah, I have no fear, and I don't fear mistakes. They're learning opportunities. So you're right. And I said that even in the beginning, if I don't get it wrong, then you can do it the other way, because that means the other way is right.
That's
So
what I always say. If I make a mistake, it's my own creation.
yep, it is. I've had some mistakes actually come out quite to my advantage. So
Yep,
you never know.
yep.
All
Me
right,
too.
so I'm gonna turn it upside down. And now I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna fold this in half. And I have a little bit of a spot there from the iron that barfed on my fabric. So I think won't matter when it's done. All right, so I'm gonna start here, matching my fold with that, and then flip it up. And then I'm just making sure that I have SF 101 within the sewing area when it stitches. Okay, all good. Let's get that taped. That's where that tape is on the back, so I'm just really securing it. All right, I'm gonna watch this with, where is my, I'll just use, oh, there it is. Got a little stiletto. I'm gonna watch I'm gonna go slow. So if you push your needle in your start key and you hold it, it'll keep going slow until you let go. So you can start and you can go slow. So what I'm gonna do is start, and then as it gets closer to the ribbon there, I'm gonna slow it. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna pull the ribbon out of the way. All right, now that it's getting to where it has to go around the top, I can't, pull it out of the way. I have to have it there. So I'm gonna actually go slow. And to go slow, it means I'm just gonna press and hold right here. And it's gonna keep going slow until I let go of the button. So I'm gonna wait till it goes around the top of my hanger there. Slow and tedious, but definitely worth the effort. Because if something happens, you can stop it really quickly. Oh, yay, I avoided all of the tape. All right, now it's across the top, I can let it go. So now this is going to be in the seam that I wanted it to be in. Well, I would. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 I think we have a fork here I was using for it actually. All right. So now we're going to do the trim and turn and press, and we'll have a beautiful Christmas stocking. All right, I'll meet you at the table. I'm going to turn the camera off again.
Should we take it out?
You can take the hoop off now. If you are finished all the way around and you did the second part where you have, so now you should have from the front of your hoop, your front of the hoop should look like this. Oops, let me get the thing back on. Come on, come back. The front of your hoop should look like this, with or without a hanger. And the back of your hoop should look like this. So the back hoop has a hole here that you're going to turn. And it has, you know, the seam across the top, and the front goes all the way around.
Okay.
So that's usually in the hoop project, that's usually an indicator of which part of the lining is the front lining and which is the back lining. Okay, so the front lining usually will be stitched all the way around when you're done. And the back lining will usually have the hole somewhere for you to turn it. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. And let me grab my trash can because this is gonna be sparkly messy with that ribbon. Why does the prettiest stuff always make such a mess?
Michelle?
Yep.
I can't get it undone. I'm gonna log off, but
Okay.
I might end up having to bring my machine in.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Ladies, have a nice time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. Oops. We'll come back here. Just the chat box go away. All right. So I don't like to pull a lot of stuff along with me when I'm trying to clean something up. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to get rid of all the stabilizer and tape and all that stuff that's, you know, I don't need to, it's hard for me to trim close and accurate if I'm dragging a party along with me. So I'm just going to quickly just get rid of some of this stuff. I'm giving myself a pretty good margin, but I'm still going to get rid of as much stuff as I can. And then I'll get in close and personal. All right. All right, so where it's straight, you can still use a straight pair of scissors. I encourage you to cut from the back though, because you want to see where this is going to turn. Because you know you have to leave a little bit of extra fabric here, so that when you turn it, you have something you can catch when you whip stitch it. So I'm going to actually trim that part separate, so that I have some stuff left over. And then I'm going to cut into just to the stitching line, but not through the stitching line. So I'm coming close, but not all the way through it, because that way I can take this piece that I saved so that I can have something to stitch closed. I can take it and I can tape it down out of the way. So that way, if I'm cutting from the other side, I don't end up cutting it off. Because that's what you have to stitch to when you go to close it. Oh, there it is.
Are you going to use pinking shears?
I am.
Yeah, I'll get mine.
But you have to be patient. You have to wait till I get there.
I will.
Okay. All right. So this part I can go straight. This part I can go straight. And right about to there I can go straight. So I'm just going to leave about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I want nice corners. So I'm going to cut at a 45-degree angle right to the stitching, but not through the stitching. So let's see if I can get that really close for you so you can see that. Come on. All right, see how it's like right to the stitching, but not through it. And I don't do this. I don't clip it so it looks like pointy in there. Because when you turn this with just that 45-degree clip, with your point and press, you can smooth out these sides here, and it actually helps support that corner when you're done. So I'm just gonna do that. So right to, but not through the stitching line. That's it. All right, so now I'm gonna grab my pinking shears. This is out of the way. So the rest of this, I can just use the pinking shears on. And I'm gonna go slow because I need to go, slow around those corners. And again, I'm still kind of keeping my seam allowance, but I want to try to get some of those inward clips towards where I have a curve. All right, so see how I got a clip right in where that biggest part of that curve is? And then I'm just gonna carry around. And I gotta tell you, I try to kind of place the scissors when I have to move them so that the zigs and the zags are even, but if I don't, it's okay. And if you don't, it's okay. There's no pinking shears police. It's kind of a slower process, but boy, when you go to turn this, it makes such a huge difference. All right, I'm slowing down when I come up here because remember I have this folded back because I want to make sure I have that when I go to tuck in. And it's kind of a straight edge anyway. So I'll just do my 1/4 inch here and here. And I've left this part long. And I'm just gonna check. So see how when I go to turn that, so what you're essentially doing is you're turning it like this. So if you have a big bunch of fabric there, it's not gonna turn in. This way it has some room here. When you turn in, you get a better curve. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Let's see what I end up with. I'm taking bets on the hanger being on the right place. I'm feeling pretty confident, ladies and gents.
You gotcha.
All right. First of all, something that's warm turns a lot easier than something that's not. So I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to just kind of heat it up. This is where your hemostats are going to come in handy because you have to pull a whole lot of stuff through that stocking. So I'm just going to kind of warm this up. It's not really very hot, just warm. Really what I want is to get my fingers in there and get as much of it as I can. And when I get as much as I can and I can't get any more, then I'm going to start grabbing stuff with hemostats. That I set over there and I now don't see, but I'm sure they're there. All right, so I just want to get both hands in there, fingers. And I'm just going to start turning. Don't worry about it being like wrinkled or anything else right now. Just get that through the hole. The more you get through the hole, the easier it is to get, to get it turned. And you can even you can even use your point turner to kind of, your point and press to kind of get in there with the big thing, not the small. And as soon as you get like the most of the tip of the stocking into the inside, you'll be able to pull from the outside easier. So remember, a lot of the embroidery is right at the tip of the stocking there. Okay, so this side is in, and I just have, I should be able to start pulling some of this out. Where's my hemostats? That I set down, and now I can't, let's see, oh, here. I'm gonna get that in there, and I'm just gonna try pulling on the embroidery part, not the lining part. The lining you might tear. The embroidery is pretty much bulletproof at this point. And when you turn it inside out, it's still going to be on the wrong side of your lining. You're going to have to turn it again.
I just did mine and it scared me because I didn't know how I was going to turn it again.
Yeah, it's through the same hole. All right. So now that I've turned it, I've got almost all of it out. So don't worry about getting your corners perfect this time because you're backwards.
Should have made the hole bigger.
Well, then it just has more you have to sew. Once you actually get, you know, like I can get my fingers in there now. So now that I can get my fingers in, I can push from the inside. You can do a lot with your thumb and just pushing. So see, let me see if I can get a little closer up. So even though it's not perfectly ready to press yet, just by pushing on that area where I have the pinking, look at how much smoother your curve is.
Okay.
Yeah. So just this part just takes patience. And then I'll do it this way too. And then the points, I'll work on the points when I get it actually turned the second time.
Will it be easier the second time?
Possibly.
Michelle,
you made it this far. I know you can do it. Go ahead, Annette.
Can we enlarge this to make it a bigger stocking? I know this is the largest stocking.
Yeah, this is the biggest one on freestanding lace. You know, I don't know that I would be really careful on how much I enlarged freestanding lace because you may not get what you expect.
Because of the density, the way it stitches.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
I think you could probably, for those of you that have machines that can increase the density right on the machine, I think you could probably get a little bit bigger, but not much. And the truth of the matter is, anytime you have a project like this where you have to turn it inside out twice, it's a pain until you get it done. All right. So now we're this far. So we have 2 lining pieces on the back. And we have to get through. Where's the other one? They're both there. I know, I can feel them.
The directions said to wet the top to release the stabilizer.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that. So I'm like, I know it's there. I can feel it. You're right. So I'm going to go ahead and get that corner out then.
Yeah, that's what scared me. That's the part that scared me. I knew I couldn't do it the other way.
All right, so let me grab. I got a sponge here. I like where is my sponge? Here it is. All right, so I usually buy these little makeup sponges by the bags of 100 at Ulta or any other makeup store. And it's perfect for just wetting stabilizer without washing the whole project. So let me go get this wet and we'll get that turned. Thank you, Annette. Oops.
Welcome.
All right. When you get these wet, they grow. And there we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you guys. Guess what? My tab is not there. So it means that what I should have done is I should have done it to the back and not the front because it's not there. Oopsie. Oh, well.
It's hiding. It's waiting for Christmas to get open.
All right, so here we go. So where it needed to be was, so what I did is I put it between the 2 layers of lining. All right. Where it needed to be was in between the stocking itself and the first piece of lining. So my mistake, now you don't have to make it.
Babe, I've turned it inside out so it's still icky on the.
All right, take a sponge and get the top of it wet. And you're going to actually dissolve some of the stabilizer, and then you're going to turn it from the top.
What? I don't see two fabrics to turn it again.
Okay, so at the very top where your seam is here, like this,
Yeah.
I want you to wet that, and then you can pull it apart.
Oh, that'll open when I wet it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I shall be back. I don't want to leave.
Don't leave. It's just water.
I know, but I have to go to another room to get water, and I don't
That's
want
all
to
right.
miss a step. Okay.
You won't miss. We're almost done here. But yeah, my so my ribbon is in between these two layers, and where it should be is I don't know. This one's a tough one, you guys, because there's, if I put it here, then you're going to see the raw edge. If I put it, so where it needed to be was between these two layers, but
It should have been on the back of the
well,
hoop.
you could have done it on the back, I guess. What you can't do is the way I did it, because it doesn't show anywhere there. But
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't make as much of a gold mess as it does.
Just on the inside.
Yep, only on the inside. All the sparkle and all the magic will be on the inside. Nobody will ever know.
Okay, that's magic. It opened, but now where do I turn it inside out?
So now just pull it. So it was like this. And you're just going to turn it inside out again.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Linda, I know you can do it. I have faith in you.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to take my little point and press, that little, and using the large end, not the small end. I'm just going to press along those edges there. Look at that curve, you guys. I mean, truly, look at that curve. That's perfect.
Oh, babe, we're turning it from the top opening, not that side seam.
No, the side seam actually would be sewn now, and I don't do hand stitches, and I'm not worried about that side seam that's in there. But if you are, then now would be, before you turn it inside out, would be the time to actually stitch that.
Oh.
But, you know, is it costume or is it couture? I mean, really, if you're going to hang it on the tree, or you're going to put a gift card or something on it, nobody is going to look in the side and say, Linda, you did not sew your seam together.
I see. So sew it first and then turn it inside.
Yeah,
out.
hand stitch it, whip stitch it, and then sew it. Or yeah, I'm not sure you could even do the seam the way this one kind of goes together.
Right.
You did a nice job, Michelle.
Thank you, but I
Pretty.
could not have done it without you guys.
It's pretty.
We're a
It is a
team.
fun
We do this
project.
together.
We are a good team. You're right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Michelle.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
There's our Christmas stocking that does not have a hanger on it. So I guess I'll have to do that HAND thing if I wanted to put a hanger on it.
Hey,
Just
I
put a subject.
glued mine on the inside, just on the inside.
Oh, good for you. That's even better.
Yeah.
Put a subject through it.
I think the hanger will work if it's touching the right sides of the backing and the lining fabrics. If
Yeah,
it's
I
sandwiched
think you're
between
right.
the right sides.
Yeah, but it was between the right. No, it was between the
No,
wrong
it
side.
was laying on the wrong side.
Wrong side. Yeah. So you're right. Between the two. Perfect. Yeah. So where it needed to get
On the back of
taped.
the hoop.
Yes, correct. So where we could change it, and Susan has figured it out, is instead of me taping it to the front of the hoop, I needed to tape it to the back of the hoop, because that would have had it between the two lining pieces when I turned it.
That's what I think.
Cool.
I think you're right. So we're going to go with it.
This is so cute. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Ladies, it's been such fun. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for my
Michelle.
lack of enough
Thanks,
coffee when I got
Michelle.
here. All righty. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.